If you look up the definition of sadism, how do I flip this? The tendency to derive pleasure, especially sexual gratification, from inflicting pain, suffering, or humiliation on others. Beneath the apparent loving concern, she had glimpsed spite and sadism. That's what our leadership in this country and people who praise that type of leadership expose about themselves when they actively pursue the advocation of people to do these things. Like, I'm gonna support people to make these decisions. I'm gonna use my vote, and I'm gonna use my maybe positions of authority in my own communities, even in my own family or my own fucking head, to support things like that. How so many people are able to convince themselves that they are hiding behind this mask of patriotism or whatever is actually kind of mentally ill to me, because how can you be so sadistic to get off and get excited and feel pleasure from the amount of suffering that is being inflicted on people under the leadership of who you support? And you think that that's just normal. You think that's healthy. You think that's something to be respected or praised. It's collective abuse that you're contributing to, and you are the person that's sitting on a plantation beating the crap out of your slaves that's voting for slavery to continue by intentionally deciding that their life is not worthy of being treated like it fucking matters, like they aren't a human being in your eyes. But that's America though, right? We acted like we were these freedom fighters and rebels, and we came here and built an entire country on slavery and genocide.
That just reminded me of this song by J. Cole.
To be all about that stuff, but you're acting like that is worthy of respect? Like treating human beings like their lives aren't worthy of being honored and respected and valued and cared for, and just left alone and not bothered? You think that that is something that is a quality that is admirable. You rally around together and get off to this shit. It makes me so happy. It makes me feel safe and at peace. It makes me feel in control. It makes me feel like God is just looking after all of us. You're wanting people to get hurt and die. It's just you being a fucking bitch. That's all it is. And you're being a bitch at the expense of actual people who have actual lives. To me, it's not really much different than a serial killer going around and looking at somebody that they feel is a good target for them and deciding that their life is going to be in their hands, and in their hands they will harm it. I will use my mind, I will use my power, I will use my words, my actions, my thoughts, and my behavior to harm those people or to harm that person. You're not creating a better world or a better society for anybody to live in. You're just creating victims. And when you create victims, you create power for people who create those victims.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to tighten your seatbelts once more. We're about to land on Religious Psychosis Island.
But God bless America, because I'm so far gone that I honestly think there is a higher power that is all-powerful and all-knowing that is about this and enforces this through us. We are the vessel that gets off on hurting people for a higher divine purpose.
Alright, I think we've had enough of this destination without even landing, so it's safe to say we're ready to go on to our next destination, spiritual bypassing land.
And I'm also talking about
people who use things like the law of attraction or other new age beliefs that are supposedly these pieces of enlightened wisdom, even though they're so far removed from basic level 1 wisdom that they disregard everything in the physical realm as if it doesn't exist, even though it exists just as much as the energetic realm, if not more, because we're on Earth, and Earth literally symbolizes the physical and material realm.
Use the law of attraction to try and deny the reality of human suffering. You think you're so above everything that's happening right now? You think that if it happens to other people or if it happens to you, then victim blaming is the solution because that's what empowerment and enlightenment looks like. Meanwhile, you're completely denying the reality of power imbalance and the structures in our society that literally cause things like this. And somehow, at the end of the day, it's all up to us to fix it. Well, you say that from the comfort of your own privilege, and you say that from the shield of all the bullshit clouds that you've put in front of your face, because actually having to confront the grief of what our world looks like and the systems in place that keep it the way it is just too much for you. I don't care. I have zero respect for people that use their lives to actively contribute to things that harm other people's lives. The Big Beautiful Bill is just a perfect example of how so many people have their struggles and the things that they have had to overcome in their life and continue to deal with every day overlooked and then mislabeled as their fault. For example, killing off people who are poor and disabled does not actually take away the problem of what caused them to be poor and disabled. There's a million reasons why someone could be poor and disabled, but there's zero reasons why those people's lives shouldn't be valued just as much as any rich fuck. The image of a hardworking American and the idea of shaming anybody who doesn't fit that stereotype is flawed on so many levels, but is never going to cover up the reality of what people who don't fit into that cliche stereotype go through and how they got to where they are and why their lives are the way they are. I saw a video of this kid who was like, yeah, I'm such a lazy American. You made this proposition to cut my health care, but let me show you like why I don't have a job. Let me show you what I deal with on a daily basis. Let me show you the things I've had to overcome. Let me show you that we live in a physical reality where there is no solution to that, and I can't just magically sorcerer it out of my asshole. We also seem to conveniently forget the idea that there's a lot of ways to work hard. Being disabled and having a condition that literally robbed you of your life and your goals and your ability to provide for yourself is hard work, because every single day, 24/7, without any relief, you're fighting through symptoms that people either see or don't see, but they don't go away whether or not people see them. People really just want to kill off people who don't fit a stereotype that they think is an acceptable form of life or an acceptable way to live.
It's just so sad to see history repeating itself, and the fact that it's just, I mean, how many more 1,000-year cycles, 100-year cycles, generations and generations do we have to go through before we stop acting like we get to say who lives and who dies, who's dehumanized and who's not, who's respected and who's not, who's taken care of, who's not, who's given compassion and empathy and who's not? Like, there's so many terrible people. There's so much abuse. Our society literally is built off of all of these pillars of different types of abuse. And everybody's just celebrating it like it's normal. And then they're shitting on people who are like, yo, you probably shouldn't celebrate that. Like, that's hella fucking weird. It's just like, I don't. I feel like this planet is just going to explode. And honestly, the universe might be better off without us.